Folks, hello and welcome to a very special edition of the Random Party Generator. I was at Shire Con this past weekend, so Friday
Yeah.
was not a good day to try to do a live stream while sitting at the outside bar. You could do it, but as long as there weren't people on the other side of the camera. So, with us, we have the following random panel. The one and only Rob Conley. He's like my twice. He would have been my work spouse over the weekend, but him and his wife got sick, so we weren't roomies, but we were supposed to be. Mr. Bat in the Attic, uh, Chubby Funster, who is unavailable on drive-through.
Whatever.
I That's how I read it real quickly. Otherwise known as Greg. Yang, who has a Kickstarter that's coming off very shortly, and Old Man Grognard, Glenn Hallstrom. This is your panel.
Yes, this is your special episode. Is that like the ones in the 70s where they're like very special episodes of? We got to talk about drug addiction or something?
No, this isn't the 4:30 afternoon special where the boy in a plastic bottle. No, we're not doing that. I'm having bad flash, and Greg's too young to remember.
Hey, okay, I watched a lot of G.I. Joe.
But, we're educating him. The more you know.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Okay. Knowing is half the battle.
That's right.
And the other half is killing stuff.
That's also correct.
There's no killing on G.I. Joe. Amazingly enough, nobody ever got shot with all those beautiful lights going across the screen.
There was a Crimson Guard who broke his neck in one episode, though.
Oh, well, you see, that it's just a flesh wound. I mean, it just doesn't really. But I mean, I used to watch. Listen, my mother used to babysit, and I used to watch G.I. Joe, and I was like, doesn't anybody ever get hurt? Ever? No.
Well, that carries over to Batman the animated series. That nobody died there. If somebody fell off of a plane or something, they happen to be over the bay. So,
all right, that is true. You're killing me, Glenn. All these cartoons suck, but that's not why we're here. So the reason is Greg introduced us to Yang, and Greg was impressed with what Yang is bringing to the table. So, Greg, tell me what impressed you about what you saw here, because you were passionate. I will say that.
I don't know how Yang feels about this, but the way I feel about it is that what he has done is he's written this really cool setting, and he's going to pretend to sell it to all these 5e people, but really it's also written in 1E OSR stat block language, so we can use it as well. So that's what I care about. I'm sure he has the kind things to say about 5e players. And, oh, yes, we love them all. But really, we want the 1E version of this setting. So I will let him take it from there. But that is my spin on this situation.
Yes, I would say that we do love all 5e players, especially when you back when the campaign opens tomorrow. We will definitely love you then. But when I started writing this, I did start writing it as a 5e campaign setting. However, my original goal, I had two goals in mind. One is I wanted to write a campaign setting that I would like to play in myself. I felt like by the time I started writing this, Wizard had sort of like wound down all their good intellectual properties and settings, and they were getting a little thin, if you take my meaning. And the other was I wanted it to play like an old school game would play. I wanted it to feel dangerous and deadly, just like if you played 1E or 2E like it would have been back then. So, excuse me, that was my original goal when I started, and then I had always hoped, one day, in addition to 5e, I would be able to do a 1e version of it as well, and that's this year. I had a lot of feedback in the past saying like, yeah, it's great, but I don't play 5e. So, okay, no problem. I hear you guys. So we are converting it, and there will be a 1e and a 5e version.
Very cool.
Have you
So-
run a campaign with your setting using 1E yet?
I have not run a campaign with the 1e setting yet. So I am not converting it myself. I have played 1e, but I don't feel that I really have the depth of experience in order to make sure it's really what 1e players are looking for. So I have Bill Sylvie, aka the Dungeon Delver. He is doing the conversion for me. If anyone does not know the Dungeon Delver, just go find him on YouTube. He runs a 1E show. Actually, he's probably getting ready to start his show in about an hour. And he also used to write modules for Gary Gygax. So I was like, if he was good enough for Gary, he should be good enough for the rest of the Grownards.
Oh yeah, but I've talked with Bill in the past. He's a good choice for that kind of
Great
work.
guy.
Good job.
Yeah. Well, you struck pretty well on that one. So
No, I'm sorry. Go on, Eric.
no. Rob, go ahead.
So just so you know,
Mhm.
I don't know because you haven't run the AD&D 1E yet, but if you play D&D 5E, but without allowing feats and multi-classing,
Mhm.
how it progresses through the campaign is I found it very much like my Swords and Wizardry with core edition, not the white box, but the core with the extra classes and stuff. I found it very comparable to it. Now, obviously, with 5e, you have a lot more options, more ways combats can go at every point with all the class abilities. But overall, if I sub in 10 orcs and there's a four person party that's 5th level, the fight in both editions will go about what I expect it to go. Pretty much the same.
In the 5e edition, I had taken pains to. Part of it is you have to make the setting and the atmosphere feel a lot more like those early adventures. So, for one thing, there's several parts where we get rid of a lot of things that people have problems with 5e. So, for example, in the events in the first chapter, a god is going to curse you and take away death saving throws. So, guess what? Players start playing a heck of a lot more like old school D&D once you remove those. In a lot of 5e games, people will just rush in and do incredibly stupid things because it's almost impossible to kill them. Well, if you're back to hit 0 and die, they start stocking up on health potions, scrolls. They might say, let's leave this dungeon for today and we'll come back on another day to finish cleaning it out. So it already had that feel of 1E. Excuse me. And as we're converting it over, Bill has actually already gotten started on it. So I think the way the game should play or the setting should play should be very similar between both versions.
Yeah, and I'm assuming you're talking about the 2014 version or the latest.
It technically is compliant with the 2024 version. I'll say that. One of the things is with the races specifically, like I've basically redone the races to fit this campaign setting. So I already tell people,
like basically the same thing, but with different colored faces and hair colors, or are there actually different races in this?
There are different races, just like there were in classic games. like there were until Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, and it became boring. Now I do allow, I write in there like, yeah, if somebody wants to be a tiefling or whatever, go ahead and let them. But those things don't exist in this world. So, people who see one would be freaking out as if you saw someone who looked like a demon on the street. In many cities in America, that thing would most likely get shot. And so don't be surprised if you don't cause a panic and have the villagers come out with pitchforks and torches.
Yeah, one of the nice things that Merles and his team did with 2014 was they did a really good job accommodating different styles.
Mhm.
Like I had friends who played it with all the options, and it played like their 3.5 game and their D&D 4e. Well, not quite like D&D 4e, but what they hoped D&D 4e would have been. And but if you don't use those options, then yeah, it's still D&D 5e. But as far as just swapping between playing AD&D Osric or Swords and Wizardry and then playing 5e, it was just easy. Just sub in the new stats and it still played out basically the same. But with the new edition, it's just like, oh, we're gonna make all the options mandatory and not give you your choice. And I don't think that was very cool of him to do that.
I do have a chapter in the back of the book that kind of explains different ways to play in this campaign setting. There is enough of a storyline that if you like that Dragonlance style of play, it's a little bit thin, but there's enough of a throughput that you could play it like that, or you could play it as a total sandbox style. The one thing I think we have now that Gary and Fred didn't have back when they were writing the early versions is we know what happens when you take away certain objects or options. Like a lot of people don't want to play with encumbrance. So okay, well then you don't need to leave dungeons as often. You don't need to have hirelings to hold the gold for you. You don't need a fortress to hold your gold in. So nobody steals it. And so then all sorts of play styles go out just because of that one change. So in my I've got a chapter that describes like okay, if you want it easy, just ignore what I said about getting rid of death saving throws. Keep that in there. If the style of play you like at your table is the character makes it all the way through to the end, do that. Use the standard 24 or 14 rules and go for it. If you want something harder, okay, now we're having where death throws are gone. We have optional rules for cantrips where if you use them too often, like if you're constantly spamming one in combat, you might forget it because you get frazzled. So you have to roll for that. We've got tables for diseases. We've got tables for pretty much all sorts of things that you could want. And, if you want it harder, if you want it to play a little more like this, use these rules. If you want it more like that, use those. So for me, it's about at the end of the day, you're sitting at a table, presumably with your buddies, and you want to have a good time. So what facilitates that the most? That's what I want. That's what I want a DM to get out of this guide.
What about the rest rule? I mean, one of the things I like Adventures in Middle Earth is long rest could only take place in safe havens, and you have to take an 8-hour night for a short rest. Do you have that rule in your?
That I have that as one of the options for the harder ones. I don't have that specifically because this is a horror campaign, so there really are no safe options.
I was about to bring up dream walking.
Yes, there's a dream realm too, but in relation with the rest, there's a few different options you can use. One is in the 2014 DMG, they mention a long rest should be you have to rest for a week. You're not doing anything for a week. And a short rest is an 8-hour rest. So you could play it that way, and that makes it much harder. And people are much more conservative with their spells and abilities. Then they start packing in scrolls, all sorts of wands and stuff. Or you could do the other way, which is when you take a long. I kind of like this one better. you take a long rest, but you don't regain any hit points. You regain hit dice, and you can use as many hit dice as you want during a long rest. But in the rules as written, you only get half the number of hit dice, half your total hit dice back per night. So, like if you're level 8 and you take a long rest, you got beaten up, you use 8 hit dice, you're only going to get 4 more the next day. So you still have to be conservative about how much healing you do, and you got to make sure the cleric is in good standing with their god, and things like that. But as you mentioned, we have new rules for Dream Realm. I never liked the ethereal, or well, not the ethereal, the astral plane. Sorry, in D&D, I always thought it was like just another place, but with a lot of clouds. So I rewrote some rules for when they go to sleep, they dream. And, generally when you wake up, you forget about it. But let's say you and your friend are like, oh my gosh, we dreamed the same thing. That's because one of you crossed into the other person's dream. And the dream realm is basically the collective, everyone in the world's dreams collectively. And so if you know how to use it, you can go talk to people in other continents. There are also, traditionally in religions, gods will contact people in their sleep. So your god may be contacting you in the dreams. And we have a table to see how much of what you remember. And, you can take certain illicit items, you can do other things to help you to remember the dreams. There are magical items that will allow you to freely go in and out. And another aspect of it is nightmares. There are creatures in the dream realm that will attack you if you cross them. I had one party where one of the guys double-crossed a hag. So the hag would haunt his dreams. And because of that, he wouldn't get the effects of a long rest in the 5e version. So he wasn't getting hit points back. He wasn't getting spells back. And so you have that. And I had one group of players who discovered that they could become other people's Freddy Kruegers. There's a part where it describes like a court scene, and it's not like the US where there's actual justice. Basically, you have to bribe other people, and they're like, well, okay, we want to go into those people's dreams, and we want to threaten them with nightmares if they don't vote the way we want in this trial. So they were creative enough to do that. So except for one specific in chapter 3, one specific part, you never have to use the dream realm again, but a lot of people really enjoy it in order to enhance the play.
So it sounds like you have a timeline with this. If the players don't do anything, stuff will happen in the background.
Yes. So one of the hallmarks of horror specifically is that the characters are not in control. They are at the whims of the world. When Ash takes his girlfriend into the cabin in the woods, they're not in control of what happens. The Necronomicon has already been read. There's already demons running around. So same thing in this world. When we start out, the players are reacting to things that they don't really even know that's going on. They just find that there's like all sorts of cults around, and there's in this world, it's a relatively low magic, and there aren't many strange creatures to start off with, but all of a sudden some creatures from legends start appearing, and they're reacting to that until later on they in time they'll be in places and meet people who know exactly what's going on, and then it's the 5e version is designed from levels 1 to 10. So by 10, the players are able to change everything basically, or they're able to fight the evil directly. Let's put it that way.
So how do you give advice about how they, so if the players, so you have this timeline, if nothing happens, if the players don't do anything, but if the players do things, what kind of support do you give the DM so that by the time they get to chapter 5, it may be kind of way out in left field or way out in the right field?
Oh, that's a good question. So first of all, there's a timeline of all these major events. It's like I kind of liken it to World War II. Like in chapter 1, your players are just hoping to get off that boat and land on Normandy. So they don't know what's going on, but Eisenhower knows what's going on. He knows the plan. The Germans know the plan from their end. So in that way, they have the timeline that they can refer to. And in each chapter, I do write suggestions like, hey, this NPC knows the whole story. Be careful about answering too many questions, or if they die, you need to make some other NPC that could fill that role, a couple chapters later on. And there's a whole thing where they start off in a town called South Bay. Well, chapter 5, there's an undead invasion that completely wrecks the town. And so based on the players' actions and their relations with the different factions that were in the area before, if they leave and then come back, those factions may still be around. So, you give the DM heads up like, hey, keep track of the number of people who survive this thing because they might be allies later. And different parts like that, I I directly point out to the DM, like, same thing with the dream realm. Like, hey, this is the only time it's necessary for them to go in there, but it is another resource for players to use. You may or may not want to nudge them in that direction.
Do you have any like when I write my sandbox adventure, basically what I provide and support is basically amounts to Rob's notes. Okay.
Yeah.
Greg, on the other hand, he does a lot of mechanic, aids, mechanic. I don't know how you describe but they're like concrete aids that the DM could use, like to plan out what your cities, like your Shadow City has that thing with the city. Are your more notes, or you have actual like aids and stuff that you provide?
I do definitely have a lot of notes, like directly from me, the author, to the DM, like, hey, be careful of this and that, and things to look out for. However, I do. So, like I mentioned, you could play it as a story if you want, but you can play in sandbox mode. So in sandbox mode, I give the factions and what the goals of the factions are, so that the DM can sort of plan out, like, at least in their minds, like, oh, if the players do thing X, the Five Fingers, the criminal organization, they're not going to like that. So then maybe you have to add in some sort of confrontation with them and whatnot. And there's all sorts of random tables for pretty much everything you would need in all the areas that you would go to. So even if you're doing zero prep, there's plenty of stuff for people to pick up on. And then I have something that I call the pressure mechanic. And the pressure mechanic is something that the DM can use if they need to sort of get people more engaged with certain aspects of the setting. So, for example, in the country that we start off in, only wizards who have been licensed by the government are allowed to practice arcane magic. There's a group called the Zealots of Twilight that if they find out you are doing arcane magic unlicensed, they will kill you, they will kill your family, and they'll probably burn down your neighbor's house too, just to make sure. And so with the pressure mechanic, it's a way of sort of like counting actions. So, if players are using arcane magic freely, let's say they're out in the woods, right? No one's going to see them, but there are groups that have ways to tell. So if they do that enough times, you throw
Sorry.
them into a random monster table.
Mr. Gunn just said the pressure mechanic, aka insta. I'm sure he meant plot, but he's insta plot pot.
Yeah. So pretty
Sure.
much.
So
Now-
do you, other than the Dreamland, do you have like subclasses or any other interesting bits and that are characters can muck around with?
Yes. So the ethereal plane is the land of the dead, basically. So anybody that can see into the ethereal, you can see ghostly images of structures that used to be there. So there's a lot of places in the world that in the storyline, events of a great war that happened, like 100,000 years ago are kind of coming back. So there's places you can go and you can see the structures, ghostly apparitions of the structures that were there. You can find spirits of the dead. And if you are able to find them via seeing them in the ethereal plane, you can perhaps talk to them in the dream realm.
Wow.
I've been asking all the questions, Greg.
No,
This is
no,
your guy.
Rob, why would we stop you when your questions?
Yeah,
are
you're
good?
doing. Rob's asking the good questions. Rob has
You're on a
played a
roll.
lot more 5e.
Yeah.
Knows a lot of stuff than the rest of us, I think.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
I have one 5e session under my belt, and I was playing Snoopy. It's a long story. Yes, it was Peanuts, and it was Call of Cthulhu in 5e. It was a con, but yes.
But one of the things that I brought up to Yang, seeing him on with some other people, talking about the way that you interact with your deities, I thought was really good. Do you want to kind of elaborate on that mechanic, how it might be different from what somebody was used to?
Yeah, well, so in the game, there are a few pre-named deities that are around, especially one called the Black Ram, which is worshipped in the Empire of the Undying Sun, and he demands blood sacrifices. And that nation is basically monotheistic, does not tolerate other gods. But the world itself is sort of Bronze Age, where every village has their own deity. So I let the players make up their own deities, basically. And we do that by using 4 categories. So one is prayer. You have to pray to a deity in some way, but I leave it up to the players. Is it every night you get down on your knees, put your hands together? Is it, do you put out prayer flags? Do you do interpretive dance? And even things like, you could say like, well, we only pray once a year. Oh, okay. Well, you pray once a year, but you got to do it for a whole month. So that character is out of action for whatever month you pick that to be. So, negotiate with them on that. The second is how the religion interacts with the world. So like, are you out there helping the poor, making hospitals? Are you part of an order that is seen as like very neutral and fair? So you go around the countryside acting as neutral judges. Are you maybe an evil cult where you go out assassinating people who are doing really bad things? So there's all sorts of things, and I let the players pick that. The third is they have to pay a tithe, and the tithe could just be straight gold. You could just take it as part of from the loot, or you could do something else. So I've got one player in one of my test groups. He's a paladin and a dwarven paladin. So he wanted to he wanted to worship a goddess who is the goddess of alcohol. And I was like, all right. So she's a goddess of alcohol and grains, and so she's a fertility goddess, a life goddess. And for him, instead of giving straight money to the temple for her, he has to brew alcohol and give out so much alcohol free to people on the street as part of
This is
worshiping.
Joe's god.
And,
Joe the lawyer. Yeah.
and part of the reason is because drunk people smash, and she wants more life at all costs.
So you, one of the complaints I have about across different, not just 5e or just many different editions of D&D and other fantasy, is that they focus way too much on statting the DD out as a monster, and we don't really get sense of what the religion is like. And I try to always avoid that in my own stuff. And sounds like you really focus on the religion as well.
Well, if you look historically, religion played a huge part in people's lives up until really even 50 years ago. And what were the main educational institutions? Well, they weren't governmental; they were religious. Who was making hospitals? Generally religious. Who was feeding people? Generally, it was organized by the religions. So because it played such a large place in people's lives, it's really missing from a lot of modern settings. So, if you're religious, you should be out there talking up your God, unless you're like part of some, secret assassin cult or something. You should be talking about how great your God is. And I think that that's something a lot of people are reluctant to play. But if you just make simple guidelines for them, like, okay, you got to pray every night, and there has to be consequences. So if they're missing nights of prayer, we start off with maybe you have a 25% chance your spells aren't going to work because your God's mad at you. And if you're disobeying them enough, then that's it. They cut you off.
Yeah, when I world build and stuff, I'll do things like King's List and timelines and but I keep in mind I'm doing that because I find it fun. What I write up for my players are the stuff that they need to role play their characters. And I had to learn how to do this. I was terrible at it, when I was 20, and I just gave them a 20-page document, and I learned to cut down. But it sounds like you're doing the right thing, focusing on the things that the players need to do to role play their characters by, like brewing stuff and, proselytizing and doing the rituals at the appropriate times.
Yeah, I mean, the only real hard rule I have is whatever your alignment is needs to be the same as your God. So, like, you can't be good worshiping an evil god. You can't be. You can't say, "Oh, I worship this goddess who's good, but I'm neutral. I'm a true neutral character." Like, no, that doesn't work. You need to align yourselves to that deity. And if you don't, there's going to be problems.
Sure. I just don't use I don't use alignment myself. Anytime it goes out the window. None of my D&D products have alignment in them.
I used to take that theory too, but recently the last couple of years, I've been more converted back.
Oh, and what was your road to Damascus moment on alignment?
Murder hobos. You get a lot more murder hoboing when you just kind of let them do whatever. For a while, I was saying like, well, I will assign you an alignment based on how you play your character. You play it however you want. You don't even need to know what alignment you are. That'll just be for me, for some weapons that are, aligned to this or that. And it was terrible. You have people like torturing people to death. The guards won't let us in. Well, we better kill them. And all sorts of things like that. But once you have alignment, and sometimes you can ask them like, okay, well, would a paladin of a goddess of lawful good, would they steal somebody's beer while they went to the bathroom? Would they do this and that?
You got a question?
Yeah, you got a question.
Well, that is a good question. I mean, there's no real difference with the horror and the dream realm. So one thing that you will have to do in this campaign setting is sometimes you have to make real hard choices. There's an easy choice and a hard choice, and that hard choice might get you killed. So for example, I mentioned the undead invasion. You know, you're going to be asked to help get people out of the city. So, and you could say like, nope, we're out of here, and just take off yourself. But if you follow the path of some god who's like good or who hates the undead, you know, they're not going to like that. And you're going to lose their favor and whatever abilities you get through them. You know, and even if you're like a fighter who's oriented towards, let's say, chaotic good, you know, you are not going to be good anymore if you intentionally leave people there to die. And that's going to affect how the world sees you. You know, people won't see you as good anymore. You won't get the benefit of the doubt when, you know, you're asking for favors or asking for help. So, you know, I think alignment does affect how, for one, it's a guideline of how players should interact with the world. It doesn't mean that you necessarily, it's not like good players can't kill. Yeah, you can kill if it's for the right reason, but you can't randomly murder people. You can't, you know, murder the shopkeeper because he won't give you a discount.
Well, while I don't have alignment, I have a lot of things in my campaign that have a strong ethos: paladins, clerics, and monks, and to the point where they're really only what you would call free agent classes that are capable, that would have the option of murder hoping without immediate consequences, is fighter or rogue. And however, yeah, I could say that, but actually, the true key to to solving that issue was I made, instead of trying to figure out how to prevent the murder hobos from killing the city guards, I ran a campaign where the players were the city guards, and they had to figure out how to stop the murder hobos from killing them.
Nice.
And
Is that when they came up with the Night Killer crossbow thing?
yes,
Rob?
that was one of their solutions. Yes, and just so you know what that was, is they took the maximum pull length crossbow, which does a ton of damage, like 4d5 damage in D&D 5e terms. It would take you 10 rounds to reload, but they didn't care. What they did was they gave everybody a Night Killer crossbow, shot it at whoever they were dealing with, and just dropped it, went to their normal melee weapon. Not all of them would hit, but enough of them will hit, leaving the other side so damaged enough that they got the edge in the ensuing fight.
Nice.
So they did stuff like that, and so that became the tactics of the city guards. And every campaign afterward, they did not fuck with the city guards afterwards.
Well, before we get to the couple more questions in the chat, I want Eric. I have discovered a censorship edge of YouTube. I left this comment twice in the YouTube chat. I thought it was just not syncing right, but the second time it didn't go through. And it was about the time when you and I put that orc in a minecart and lit him on fire and rolled him down.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I wrote a description of it, and YouTube was like, we can't talk about that. You can't put orcs in minecarts and light them on fire. So,
but you can talk about it.
No, did they have AI filter on it?
I don't know.
They do.
Yeah, I've had it take out comments where I mentioned like a post on Twitter or something on, like, it doesn't want you to mention other platforms.
Right.
But this is the first time I've ever had it censor me for murder hoboing.
Well, yeah. Well, hold on, Rob. Tell the story, because I was just, you know.
Hold on, me? What was I going to say?
No. He's saying, Rob, hold on. So we were at this mine, and we knew that there was like a bunch of orcs that were waiting to ambush us further down the track. And we had this captive orc, and he told us that they were there. So when I got done beating him up as much as I could to get information out of him, I threw him in the minecart, and then I poured 2 bottles of flaming oil on top of him, and then lit it, and then rolled it down the mine. And so all of his friends came out of their hiding places to try to save him, and then we got to just cut him down like grass. It was a strategic murder hoboing, but
Yeah.
but you can't talk about it in the YouTube comments apparently.
Well, apparently you're going to get filtered. Good to know. Now I
Well,
know
yeah,
why.
well, you
then the new
pulled an
Olympic
Uhtred
sport.
of Bebenberg maneuver, and I know that because I'm rereading the Last Kingdom books. So something like Uhtred of Bebenberg, the protagonist would do in those books.
Was he a Northumberland guy? Is that?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
might have catch his series on Netflix.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, there was this question about naval combat.
Well, that's a pretty sad story. The rules for naval combat in 5e weren't very good when they came out. There was one book. It was Salt Marshes, something of the Salt Marshes, where
Sinister something.
Ghost
Yeah.
of Saltmarsh.
Ghost. There you go.
Ghost. That's it. And so they had some naval rules there, and my goal was to simplify it a little bit, to sort of more or less bring it down to like 2 phases of combat. Like you have the ship to ship phase, where it's mostly ship weapon versus ship weapon, or perhaps if you have some magical abilities, and then a separate, if you can get the ships to stop, then you can board and have all sorts of swashbuckling pirate adventures. One part of the story involves crossing the ocean to go to the Empire of the Undying Sun. All signs point to, going to there. And by this point, gods are contacting you, or if you have patrons or whatever, they're like, yo, get over there. We need you over there. So there are reasons that people would actually want to go there. And that specific chapter is very hex crawly, random finding of islands, random pirates, the Navy's after you. There are all sorts of creatures, some sharks and whales. And when you're on the islands, there could be crabs and whatever trying to get you. And there is a giant anglerfish, which is attracted to magical items and is very deadly should you encounter it.
But do you have underwater
Wow.
adventures?
So
Rob
thing-
likes underwater adventures.
No, I did not. No, I normally don't do underwater adventures, but since I have this huge sea in the middle of my my northern marches, I felt obligated to throw in underwater adventures, as well as above islands as well.
With this campaign guide, I also have available a total of 13 adventure modules, and these modules all take place within the timeline of this story, and they're all in places from Empire of the Undying Sun. Now, you could take these out and you can easily insert them into your own home campaigns if you're not interested in the campaign guide. And there may be an underwater adventure in one of those. But the reason for the adventure modules is there's only so much you can put in one book. And these are, I would call like small C canonical events where you as the DM can pick and choose like, we're on this boat for a while. I want more adventures there. So you can pick up an adventure module and have other more predefined adventures in that setting. In the future, I want it to be like right now in the campaign guide, you start in a place called South Bay. Eventually, when you level up a bit, you would be in the Empire of the Undying Sun. So with these adventure modules, I want to change it so that if you wanted to start in the Empire of the Undying Sun, there would be low-level adventures to get you started there. And it sort of makes the campaign setting a lot more extensible. So you can mix and match and do it all play it however you would like. And, if your players throw you a curveball, like if somehow your players end up still in the South Bay area after that undead invasion, okay, no problem. We got an adventure module that sets out the Grim Forage, where it's basically, The Walking Dead, where you're going around looking for supplies, you're looking for survivors, you're trying to get them all together into a safe area to form a resistance against these things. So, you could use that as sort of like a map for what to do or how to continue things on until the events of the timeline of the campaign guide catches back up with where your players are.
Nice. And do you have a team that helps you write this stuff, or is it all you?
Well, I do have some people who are going to help. So Bill Sylvie, the Dungeon Delver, he has written 3. He wrote there are 3 lower level adventures that all take place in the South Bay area. Fairy Hill, and Fairy Hill is only available until tomorrow. If you go to empireoftheundyingsun.com and you sign up there and become a VIP member for $1, you'll get that adventure. And the other 2, Rat King and the Willow Sisters, are part of a 12 module bundle that'll be available on the actual Kickstarter itself. So he's written 3. Victor Gorchev of Blacklight and Modern Necessities, he's going to write at least 1 for me, maybe a couple. And I also have Rob Alderman from Paul Pullman Press, who did Gods of the Forbidden North. He's going to do at least 1 for me. And might have a couple other people.
Yeah, I hear you about having to cut things out. My draft for this had like a guidebook to the entire world, not just this region. And I was going to have short. They weren't going to be long, like 8 pages each, a chapter for each town, and I was going to have 10 towns. But I was already up to 100,000 words with this bad boy, and it's like, nope, that's got to go in the future. Otherwise, my editor is not. It's not going to be until spring that my editor is going to be done. So.
Yeah, and there's an oh, dang it! Sorry, sometimes my camera freezes. Let me go switch that there.
Yeah.
And there's also sorry, I got a little.
I was regaling how I had to cut things.
Yeah, and one thing people don't understand is there really is a maximum size that you can make a book. One is I have to ship these things out. I can't ship 10 pounds worth of book. And people generally will not print more than like 500 pages. So, I have to try to keep it under that limit. There's one adventure, Wager at the Golden Hippo, which is takes place in a casino that I really wanted to put in there, but I just couldn't.
So earlier we had somebody ask, I believe Mr. Gunn asked, how long the book was, and now he's asking what's the overall structure of the book.
So the campaign guide itself is about 450 pages. It's got rules for each location, each setting. It's got random tables. It's got everything you need. If you say, what, this storyline timeline thing is stupid, you could still have all sorts of great adventures. There's over 100 new monsters. There's, I don't know. I don't even know. There's probably over 50 factions that have their own goals and wants and desires that, as a DM, you can pull a little from here, a little from there. There is an overall timeline through, in the 5e version, it's 10 levels worth of play. I'm not sure how many we're going to do in the 1e version, where we're investigating if it's still going to be levels 1 through 10 or if it's going to be 1 through 16. We have to sort of look at that. But about halfway through the leveling process is where it should get you. And there are various tables and different play mechanics in order to make it more horror, less horror, depending on how you like to play it. If you want things more linear adventure, I think most people here, that's probably not their style, but that is an option. If you like sandbox, it's got everything you need to run a total sandbox, no prep adventure.
Now, I'm being a bit of an instigator when I ask you this. So,
Uh-oh.
how many pages is the AD&D 1E? How much smaller the AD&D 1E in just page count? I'm assuming it's going to have all the same content when you talk about random tables and the things about the Dreamland, but we all know 5E has stat blocks. So
Yes.
what's the page count down to looking like with the 1E version, because you don't have all those stat blocks?
I don't know. That's a good question. We're going through how to do it, and I think it'll be pretty similar, where we'll have like the inline blocks, but then at the end of the chapters, the creatures that show up specifically in those chapters, we will have a section where you have like art, because there's going to be a lot of art in this book as well. So they'll have another printing of their stats and what items they're carrying and whatnot with the art.
I'm betting 300 pages, Rob.
That sounds about right.
That sounds.
Yeah, I mean,
the
monster's not going to change, because those are essentially the monster manual.
Yeah.
But having those inline stat block instead of the expected 5E stat block.
It does cut that down.
So 300 pages sound about right.
Not bad. That's doable. I know Mr. Gunn was complaining about oversized books. 300 pages is not going to stop a bullet. Okay, it's not the Blight from Frog God Games.
It's not even 2E.
Oh God,
Hyperborea.
Yeah, you could probably beat somebody to death with that book, but sorry.
I'm sorry, nothing has beaten Hero System 5th edition, and there's a video proving it online. No,
Yeah, but that's 2 books.
Are you thinking 6th edition? No, I'm talking 5th edition, and there's a video, Glenn, online that showed that.
Well, I'm thinking 5.5.
5.5 had 1 book.
Yeah.
It wasn't broken out to 2 books. And
how many pages is it? Probably 600.
Okay.
Shut up, guys, when I do this.
I knew I had to just keep asking and get him to stand up and get it. Yeah.
Yes, and they shot like a 22 caliber. I think they shot like one of the high caliber rifle rounds at it, and that almost got all the way to the back.
Wow.
But yes, this is the bullet stop, the original bullet stopper.
All right. Oh, oh man, that looks bigger. You're on mute.
I may be wrong about that now. What the hell is that? How many pages is that?
Eric, you're on mute, bro.
I'm sorry, what?
I said, Eric, you're on mute.
Hold on. Hold on. I'm checking here. This is weird.
And those people who printed that, they still have their house and everything?
It is 896 pages plus advertising. So 900 pages.
What is that?
Wow.
The Blight.
No, it's
must
Weird
be the
Frontiers.
Blight.
This is a DCC powered weird Western game.
Some hidden Dungeons and Dragons lore. If you hold that book up to Matt Jackson, he passes out immediately. As soon as he sees the book, it comes within, I think it's a 7.5 feet radius, then he's out like a light. It's
like I can't handle no more.
Well, when you do your next Ambition and Avarice 3rd edition, You
Hey.
need to make that a magic item. 800
Yeah,
page.
that's only 380 pages, and he balked hard, So I don't know. I don't know if he could take it.
Well, they
Yeah,
didn't do too bad for themselves. It's a gold seller on Drive-Thru RPG,
Yeah.
but there is no print on demand for it.
Yeah. Oh God, help you if you
Yeah.
All
want.
right. Now, time out. There briefly was a print on demand, but it was 2 volumes, and then I believe that print on demand, even with that split into 2 volumes, it's not made for that. You can't do POD with books beyond a certain size.
Yeah.
The binding won't hold.
Yeah.
So yes, I played this at cons twice. I've never read the book. I'm sorry. It's intimidating. I've glanced at it. It's beautiful.
So you
But
played it, but you haven't read it.
I haven't read
To
it.
their credit, they only sell the PDF for $15.
Oh,
Wow,
it's a
that is the best priced PDF I've ever heard of.
it's a beautiful book. Oh, and it comes with a nice little map. It's really well done. I've read the lore, but I really didn't like. Dude, I can't read this in bed. I'm gonna crush my spleen.
And when you said that it came with a beautiful map, that is a seg in
Oh
honor
God,
of all the YouTubers who have sponsored segment to. All right, Yang, what kind of maps you have for this product?
Well, I am doing the maps. So we've got several larger world maps, which have there are. Let me put it this way: there are illustrated maps, which look fantastic,
Right.
and then we also have hex maps of the individual areas. There are
Nice.
simplified like dungeon maps that are going to be in the book, but then also with the purchase there will be downloadable maps that are higher quality, that you can print out on your own. Let me
Do the hex
see.
maps have hex numbers?
They do, yes.
Ooh, good for you. Well, what format did you choose to use for the hex numbers?
Uh,
4-digit ones or like
Yeah.
A1, B2?
yes. So
Oh, Judges Guild
so
style.
across the
Okay.
top, letters, and then across the side, numbers.
Oh,
Greyhawk style.
Yeah.
Greyhawk style.
So one of my goals is, even after this campaign is over, I plan on still developing adventure modules for it. So as we go on in the future, those hex numbers will become important because then I can reference them in future adventures.
And you can do you can even do that little
Okay.
exploding graphic where you have the campaign map and then pull out the. I
That's
don't know.
right.
That always tickles me that I can do that now that I have enough stuff. Kind of like these pictures that I've been doing for my.
Yeah. So there are if you become a VIP member for $1 until tomorrow at 4 when I launch the thing, you will, assuming you get a print version, you will get print maps starting at 11 by 17, but then hopefully if we hit some stretch goals, we'll make them 18 by 24, where they're more illustrative. They're full color, and they look more like a normal cartography map, whereas the hex maps are a little bit, they're nice, but they're not as fun to look at, to be honest.
So when you ship, there's going to be a package, a book, and some maps potentially.
Yes, and VIP members will also get VIP members will also get some artwork. Let me see if I can give a quick if you don't mind me sharing my screen, I've got some of the artwork up for the Kickstarter tomorrow.
One sec.
Whoa. Whoa.
So this is by an artist, Peter Gilmore. He's a comic artist. This one by Rod Looper. We've got Ang Hor Kung. He has done a lot as well. This is the cover to Fairy Hill. One of the adventure modules. Here's Ang again. So all the chapters will have really nice looking artwork. It's Peter Gilmore again. And also there's also a player's guide that's going to come with this, which is going to be a PDF, PDF only. But one thing I don't like is you spend all this money on like really cool campaign guides. So here's an example of a battle map that you would be able to print out. So you spend all this money on a really nice book, and you can't show your players any of this stuff, right? Because you don't want them to see all the secrets of the adventures and whatnot. So I'm doing a player's guide as well, which is something that you can pass out to them, which has like all the info they need to make a character, like on the races, on making their own religion, and it'll have a lot of this interior art as well that's not giving away any spoilers, give a background, what they would know in world about the different locations. So that'll be part of it as well.
And
Cool.
how are you going to plan to fulfill it? I mean, now, I'm not being critical of you because, of course, you haven't started even tried to fulfill it yet. But where a lot of Kickstarters flounder, especially with a lot of physical products like you're planning to offer, is when it comes to the handling part at the end. I'm just curious how you have that going to have that covered for your Kickstarter.
So the all the digital stuff, I've got a Shopify account where you will get the PDFs through that. So that's if you back at the digital level, or I shouldn't say and the adventure modules, and that'll all come through Shopify. And then for the people who do the print level, excuse me, I am going to print it up, have everything shipped, and fill my basement for a little while, and start shipping them out.
Okay.
So where are you going to get your maps done? So this has always been. I'm slowly building up my Kickstarter rep, so I'm hoping to do a formal print run someday, like you're planning to do with your Kickstarter. But I'm not there yet. But so how are you going to source your posters?
Well, that is a good question. So I have to. I'm in contact with a few different companies. I'm trying to find a nice American company to do it. But I'm in contact with some in Europe, and then a couple in China, and one in Taiwan. And right now, I'm just waiting to get final layout, final page count for the 5e and 1e versions. So then I can get quotes from them. So the short answer is I don't know yet. It might be at different places. It might be all at one place. Because some places, you do this, and then you're going to do, 500 posters and this and that. They give you a better deal if you do it all together. And other places won't. So printing is really weird in the US right now. And it's not just the cost, which often is prohibitively expensive, but it's also a matter of, like, each shop does their own thing, and very few places offer comprehensive services. They're like, no, we're the poster place. Oh, okay. So you don't do books? No. Or they do books, but we only do soft cover books. Oh, but I need a hardcover. Like, nope, not us. So,
Well, like
that,
Drive Through RPG, I
yeah.
have to design everything around 12-inch by 18-inch. I don't even have 11 by 12. Either 12-inch by 18-inch or 8.5 by 11 if I want to do any kind of poster work. So all my stuff,
Yep.
like this is 4 12-inch by 18-inch maps. That's what I
Yeah,
got.
I used to work in marketing, so I would have to order booklets and all sorts of print stuff for work. So that part for me is not so intimidating. It's more just finding somebody who wants to deal with me. And the other thing I need is to figure out. We'll have to see how well this campaign does. If I go to them and I say like, oh, I need 100 books, that's one thing. If I say, oh, I need 600 books, start
they
bringing
go,
out the coffee for me to drink, and let's have some conversations. So right now I haven't decided on any one in particular. I'm gonna wait. Hopefully, I hope to get most of the artwork and the adventure modules from people by the end of the year. So I'm hoping to send things out around March, and then, God willing, get everything back so I can start fulfilling next summer.
Well, that sounds reasonable as far as the timeline.
Yeah.
Yeah, I underestimated the art management of this. Not buying art, I had the money for that. It's just I never dealt with this quantity of art, and
Yeah.
that and now I'm a month behind because of that. Kind of make a very careful database of all the arts with links to the files to make sure I can sort on that column and make sure I didn't put any duplicates in the book.
And dealing with artists can be an interesting experience as well. So
No comment at this point. I'm 50% of the way there. That's what I'll say.
I've heard that working with Glenn Hallstrom as an artist is one of the smoothest and pain-free experiences one could ever hope for.
And probably the cheapest. I submitted artwork to a book, and the guy came out and said, "You undervalue your art." It's like, well, I'm sort of playing it by ear. That's why. So take of it what you will.
Well, what are you charging for an 8.5, 11?
But thank you.
Block
8.5 by 11, $100.
undervaluing your work. There.
Yeah.
that's pretty good. Yeah, that's like
That's right off
like
the top of my
Philippines
head.
price.
Ooh.
If you would have said $200, that would have been
I
a
don't
good
want to.
deal.
I don't want the sweatshop to. I don't want the sweatshop to hear that.
No, Glenn, if you said $200, I would say that was a good deal.
Okay, I'll see too.
I would.
Now
Keep going, Rob.
You're stuck with your first quote, man.
All right. Well, hey, it all goes to the con fund. So yeah,
I spent
I
money
did.
on hundreds of dollars on blog headers. I spent $1,500 on art for a release that will probably never happen. But I own the art, and that's actually what's on that. Which hand do I need? That little cup here has some of that art on it. But good art's not cheap. As somebody who's not an artist, I can tell you that good art is worth the money you spend on it. I own all the rights. I own the original.
Right.
So at some point, I'll find a project that it'll fit on and be perfect for. But until then, it's been an investment. I'll put it to you that way.
Yeah, I paid $10,000 for my art.
Yee. It's expensive.
10 grand total.
Rob's moving up in the world. He's flashing that hot cash from his Kickstarter.
Oh yeah.
He's got a new Mercedes. He's
Well, I
living
can't. It's not.
large.
I commissioned 60 pieces, and I spent about $1,000 on stock art that I would normally I got for some reason, Dean Spencer on Drive-Thru RPG had these full-colored
Yeah.
8.5 by 11 pieces that were just perfect. I mean, not just one, 4 of them that I needed for chapter headers. And
Uh-huh.
You
he
got to
was
do it.
he's selling them for $50 or whatever he's selling them for, was very reasonable. Bought them all.
Hey,
Oh, by the way, somebody brought up a good point. Speaking of VTT, if anybody out there likes Fantasy Ground, they are selling it for $12.50, and it is the ultimate version, which means only the DM needs to buy that $12.50, and everybody else can download the free client and connect to the campaign.
Wow.
that's a good deal.
Yeah.
Really good deal.
Every year, at one point, I notice on my credit card statement that Roll20 charged me something, and I go, "Oh yeah, I do pay for that," and then I forget about it within like a week. I'm running a game every week on Roll20, so I don't really care about. I'm not saying I just don't even forget that it's a service that I'm paying for, and then all of a sudden it's like, bam, on the.
You see, I backed that
Understood.
Kickstarter, so I have a lifetime subscription. I don't have to worry about.
Well,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Well, if I ever pay for subscriptions, I do that.
God bless you, Glenn. God bless you, Mason.
I'm anti-subscription
I don't
all the time.
Okay, Yang, lightning round. What stuff you haven't told us about your Kickstarter and product, or even your company?
Let me
Yeah.
see. What haven't I told yet? Well, if you become a VIP member, you will also get tokens that you can either print or use in a virtual tabletop for all of the named NPCs and monsters. So there's that. Otherwise, let me see. I think I've gone over most of it. There's a few other things that I'm trying to remember. So there's a new character class, which I call the empath. So there are 2 ways of specialization within this class. The empath doesn't really have abilities on its own, but it does naturally regain hit points. And what it can do is, if you go the way that makes it more of a healer, if it touches an injured player, it can take damage from that player and replace the hit points. So if Rob took a nasty axe to his shoulder, I could touch his shoulder and I would take 20 points of his damage, and then I would naturally heal by itself. And then eventually that works with missing body parts, with diseases and whatnot. So it can become the de facto healer, even though it is not magic. And the other way to
Very Star Trek.
The other way to play it is if you choose to go more on the offensive. Again, it doesn't really have any abilities of its own naturally, but it can swipe abilities from other players or creatures. So you could potentially steal a dragon's breath and be able to use it yourself. And then it does have some ability to copy as you level up. So let's say you have a fighter buddy, you can copy his fighting abilities and then fight with the stats of the fighter. Otherwise, you could take it from him. So that people were having fun with that when they were testing it out. Let me see. And then talent tree, I don't think we've really talked about. So I don't really like the way the talent tree works, especially in 5e. So I have skills, I should say. Sorry, I don't like the way skills work. It's weird to me that if something religious comes up, you roll a religion check and you know all sorts of things about like a religion from the other side of the world that you've never encountered before. That's weird. So what I've done is for each of the skills in 5e, I've divided it into 3 paths. So, for example, religion, when you every 3 levels, you get a point. So if you put everybody gets the same level 1, and at level 2, religion has 3 paths. So you could be path of the prophet, so you will start getting bonuses to spreading your religion. You could be an inquisitor, which doesn't give you bonuses to spread your religion, but it gives you bonuses when you are fighting against or working against an opposing religion. So if your god is good and there's a god of evil, you would have knowledge of ways to fight them. And the third path, you become a heretic, which is within your own religion, everybody hates you, but you have secret inside knowledge from your god, where the DM will give you some such knowledge about upcoming events. And so in that way, instead of skills being a little bland, people can really lean into role playing that. And so we're also bringing that, and then the talent trees are optional, so you don't have to have it if you don't want to. But we're also going to have that for 1E with they're going to be a little closer to like backgrounds. So like in 1E, if your background is a fisherman, you would get certain bonuses to fishing. So it's going to be like in a similar vein to that.
Secondary skills.
Yeah.
That's one. I mean, 1E did eventually get skills starting with Oriental Adventures, the Wilderness Survival Guides. But did Bill Sybee help with that?
Well, he's going to be converting them over. So for me, one thing is the skills can never override class abilities that you would normally get. It's like a fun little add-on to help you to flush out your own character. But it shouldn't be like, well, this talent tree skill is way better than what I would get at level 5, in my class. Like that's not great to me. But he will be helping with that. He is not a fan of skills, but once I explained it as like, secondary skills, background abilities, he's like, oh, okay, now I'm getting it.
Yeah, secondary skills are part of the original, the 3 core books of AD&D, and I can see Bill going for that.
Yep.
Especially if you make it interesting like you have.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it used to be the table that went nowhere, but a clever GM can actually use that.
Yeah.
No.
So, Glenn, do you have any questions? You've been silent.
I have question none. I like
Thank
what
you.
I'm
Yeah,
hearing,
sounds pretty good.
No question, but an endorsement.
especially if you crank out a 1E.
There will
version.
be a 1E version.
And I think you've got a couple of potential sales then. I got to say that.
Awesome.
Yep,
So
you do. And a review.
Yeah.
And a review,
Oh.
probably.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Well, Eric, are there any spicy topics that happened this week in role playing that we want to talk about? And we only got about 12 minutes left. Didn't you say you had to
I
go,
gotta-
at 1:30?
Rob's got to reach around.
I didn't go around for this.
Ooh.
Rob's been talking about this a lot. I think he
No,
might
you're
owe Wizard
confusing
some
me.
money or something.
You're confusing me with
Tim.
Tim. Tim made a whole video of it. But yeah, so yeah. So I can tell you for one thing, it feels like you got $50 worth. So they have a overview sheet. They have a play guide, the Cave of Chaos, the wilderness around this. Now, I will say from reading this, it suffers the same.
Oh, sorry.
It suffers from the same problem that all Keep on the Borderland adaptations do. Is the wilderness is very, very small. But Greg, compared to your devastating review of Fandelver, This is probably closer to more your ideal because it's more simpler for the beginning DM to comprehend.
Well, if the purpose of the product is to teach new people, then I have no problem with it being relatively simple. Like that's good. That's one of the things I disagreed with. That Joe disagreed with me about.
Well, I think Fandelver is a good introduction. It's a bit wordy. It's all 5e product, but within that context, I think Fandelver does the job. Anyway, but we can talk about that the next random party. But this is the rule book, cut down version of the rule book, and then they have plenty of poster maps. Now they did seem to rework the actual caves. They're similar to, but not the same. So here are the actual caves. The actual cave, and this is
Nice.
and
Wow.
then they have battle maps for each of the individual caves. The keep, and you get a lot of posters with this. As you can see, I'm yanking them out one by one, and then I have a nice little holder for them. They have in-game handouts like menus for the inn. If you need healing, you want to buy stuff, some kind of in-game leather, more provision. And as far as character progression goes, they have the 4 classes. They have character cards with everything you need to play the character. They have level 1 and level 2. And then they have level 3, but they give you 2 choices. So here, this is level 3, where you're a subclass champion. And this is level 3, where you're subclass Elder Ignite. So all 4 classes has the same deal. For Rogue, you can pick Assassin or Thief. You got Wizards and Clerics. Then you get lots of tokens, including gold pieces. Now here they kind of went board gamey. They got hit point tokens and stuff, but for people who are for the average Joe who's used to playing a board game, this will be, I think, a little bit more relatable.
Yeah, I think those things are really good to have materials like that.
And
That's another gripe I got about 5e. They spoil the players.
and you get tons and tons of spell cards, magic item cards, background cards. As well as NPC cards.
This is never ending.
Yeah,
That is a lot for
Yeah.
$50. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
equipment cards. So they didn't. I don't.
Yeah, but that's the first payment.
Next, they give you a nice pad of combat trackers. And then they give you some big cards with references. So these are your action cheat sheets that you can hand out to the players. But then this is your monster manual. So you get your stat block and you get your little illustration. So you can see you get a lot of them. And finally, you get dice.
Okay.
And you get a generous amount of plastic bags to subdivide your tokens that you punch out.
Or your drugs. Okay.
Yeah, or your drug. And you get
Yeah.
nice little empty trays here.
Fantastic.
I'm impressed. I
you get your
played
money's
5e,
worth.
I care.
This is not like the D&D 4E box that I got up there. That was skimpy.
I still think the Pathfinder beginner box for 1E gave you more for your money, but
Okay.
this isn't bad. And I gotta say, Call of Cthulhu is probably the best deal for a starter box. I think it's like $20, and you get a lot of material and a lot of gaming out of it, and you can run
Gotcha.
any Call of Cthulhu product.
Oh, nice.
So, all right, Rob, I love seeing you, but we're gonna bring
Okay.
this back to normal.
That's fine.
Sorry, I'm losing my voice off and on since Shire Con.
So anyway, I know the cards are not going to be as useful to a old school game, but all the other components, yeah, they can be reused for an old school game.
Okay.
And
Very
certainly the cards that have illustrations on them.
Mhm.
We're gonna have to wrap this up. I want to remind people that I put the link into the chat a couple of times. I'm gonna put the link in the chat again, but it's on the bottom of the screen. It's been there for the whole show. Hold on.
Mhm.
I'm part of the Undying Sun, which, by the way, makes me think a little bit of Dark
Okay.
Sun. That's not a bad thing. I actually
Right.
like that setting.
I had a few people in my test group say, it feels like Dark Sun.
You know, and being that
Oh.
Greg has done the best Dark Sun that wasn't Dark Sun, now I got something to compare you to.
Oh, wait. We need to have a crossover event. Shadow Sun and then Dying Sun.
Yeah, it
Never know.
you never know. Could be.
Well, shadows are undying, technically.
Yeah,
That's true.
Yang, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, really.
Yeah.
I'm sorry we couldn't have done Friday, but
Yeah.
trust
It's
me,
okay.
Joe and I were at the outside bar of Shire Con. We would have heard nothing, and I would have been on my 11-inch laptop, so I would have seen nothing. So it just would not have been wouldn't have been a great deal. But thank you for joining us, Glenn. Thank you for becoming part of the random party.
No problem.
Folks.
This
Yes.
is a random party.
Folks, next live stream is tomorrow night. Myself, Bad Mike, Jim Kitchen. A week from this Wednesday, we're going to have the Emperor Choice guys on to talk about an upcoming Kickstarter. Yep, that's going to be on the 8th. We're going to have Hollywood Squares because we're going to have the two from Emperor's Choice, Griffin Morgan. It's a 3-company Kickstarter. I've never seen that before. But all three companies are putting out material for it, and it's going to be a third. There's going to be 4 guests, 3 hosts. Maybe we'll bring in Glenn so we can have the Brady Bunch in the center square. I don't know.
I want to be the Paul
There you
Lynde
go.
Center
We
Square.
may do that. But other than that, folks, thank you so much for joining in on a relatively unscheduled day. One of the few days I don't do regular live streams. My God. It's been a
crazy
week. Rob, thank you. Chubby, Greg, thank you. And folks, be safe, be well. God bless. Roll those dice, roll them well. And Death Angel, yes, drink a beer for me. I got to say, hadn't had a beer in a long time. Had them at Shire Con. They went down well. I'm back to wine. Just saying.